Hey everybody, it's Chris Jesty, and if you watched my last video, you know what this one is going to be about. It's going to be 4 more lists on the Cameron Heat list of lists. We're just going to get into it right away, no dilly-dallying. The first list this time around is going to be Vapor's list. Vapor is E1, I do believe, either E1 or E2. He's way up there on the rankings, and he's coming in hard with the Dragoon AEM-04. This is, of course, a 70-ton mech, 2,257 battle value for this one, coming in at 3-4. Vapor's known for liking to skill his mechs down at least a little bit for the most part. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stats on this bad boy. So he's a 4-6 because we've seen a Dragoon before. He's got 20 double heat sinks total. 206 out of 217 armor. Not bad, not bad. He's got an ERPPC, an SRM4 in the left arm. Those are both in the left arm. A Gauss rifle, and another SRM4 in the right arm. And then 3 more SRM4s, 1 in each torso, and then a medium laser in the head. Wow, that's a lot of SRM4s. An ERPPC to back it up, and a Gauss rifle. You don't have that much heat sinking, but you do have enough ammo with those SRM4s to fire them pretty much every turn, because there's, 5 of them on this bad boy, and you've got 50 shots. So about 10 turns for all the SRM4s, which is more than enough, because you're not going to be firing them for the first couple turns, almost guaranteed. And then, of course, 2 tons of Gauss rifle ammo, which is what we want to see, so you can go the distance if it comes to that. I like this one. Solid brawler. It's not very fast, but when it does close the distance, it's going to be very scary. This is like a diet SRM carrier with a Gauss rifle and an ERPPC, just for good measure. Very, very scary mech for this era. I like it. Coming in hard with that first one. Next one up is the Hermes HER-1S little b. This is a Royal Designator, as we all know. It's a 30-tonner, coming in at 1334 battle value. This bad boy is 4-3, which means Vapor's probably going to be doing some melee or charging shenanigans with him. This is probably going to be his Bobby Boucher this time around. He's got a 9-14-18 movement profile with mask. So this is a fast little bugger. You can definitely get onto objectives turn 1 or 2, depending on the map size. 20 heat sinks total, 10 doubles, 105 out of 105 armor. It doesn't get much better than this for a light mech. The weapon loadout is actually pretty solid as well. He's got a flamer, 1, 2, 3, 4 medium lasers, 2 in the right arm. The flamer is located in the left arm, and 2 more medium lasers in the left torso, and a small laser in the head just for good measure. It's even got an active probe, which is exactly what you want on one of these fast scout mechs that's going to be running objectives for you. This is a solid little brawling light mech. Those 4 medium lasers are dangerous. It's just as dangerous as many heavy mechs and very many medium mechs. This is definitely something you need to watch out for, and it's fast enough to keep its TMM up. Nasty mech. Whew. Okay, just within those 2, I can already tell this list isn't getting any of my bids. These are some brutal mechs. Next up is the Rampage RMP-5G. Now, we may have seen this one last episode, but we're going to go over it real quick for completion's sake. It's an 85-tonner coming in at 2,126 battle value at 4-4 skill level. It's got a 4.6.8 movement profile with mask, a 340 XL engine, and 26 total heat sinks, 13 doubles. It's got 256 out of 263 armor. And yeah, this is the one that's got the LRM-10 instead of the Gauss rifle, an LB-10X. The LRM-10's in the left arm, the LB-10's in the right arm, and then 1 medium laser, 1 flamer, and 3 streak SRM-2s in the left torso, and then a medium laser in the right torso along with an AMS system, and then a large pulse laser in the center torso. This one is like the brawling version that we've seen last time. It's a solid brawler. decent poker on the way in, not bad, but there's better out there, like that Gauss rifle Dragoon we just looked at. And it does have Artemis for that LRM-10, just in case. And of course, Mask in the right torso. So another solid brawler that's actually quicker than you might think with that Mask. Next up is the Jackrabbit JKR-9R Joker. This thing is, I think, the weak link of this list. This is his literal joke mech, I think, that he's bringing. It's a 25 tonner with a 6'9 movement profile, 80 out of 89 armor. So it's about as armored as you can get for a 25 tonner. And it's got a Streak 2 in the left arm and a large laser in the right arm. And that's it. And of course, 1 ton of ammo for that Streak 2. And that's far more than you'll ever need for that thing. Yeah, this one's interesting. 6'9 is too slow for me for a light mech. Definitely want to see higher numbers, even though it can kind of poke with that large laser. It's going to be a liability with that 80 armor. I mean, the side torsos can each take at least 1 medium laser hit, so that's not bad. The legs can also take at least 1 medium laser hit before they go internal. So it's not as terrible as you might think at first glance, but it's still not good, because you're only moving at 6'9 and you're only 25 tons. So this thing is probably going to be hanging back, dealing out fire support with something else, like that Dragoon, just being a little buddy for it. Next up is the Telos TLS-1B. Big B, not little B. This is not a Royal mech. It's a 50 tonner coming in at 1220 battle value, which is pretty cheap. It's a 4.6 movement profile. That's why it's very cheap. It's very slow for a 50 tonner. And it's got 136 out of 169 armor. So not as high as we'd like to see it, but also not that low. This thing is barely more armored than that Hermes we looked at by like 30 points. It's got an AC-10 in the right arm, an SRM-6 in the left torso, and 2 LRM-5s in the right torso. So I guess it's a light fire support mech, or well, I should say medium fire support mech, because it's a 50 tonner. So, I mean, you do have that SRM-6, and you do have a full ton of ammo, so you can go the distance with that, but you're never going to fire all 15 shots in a standard Cameron heat match, I don't think. Unless, the ammo cooks off, in which case you're probably dead, because you've only got 136 armor. And you do have 2 tons of AC-10 ammo. Too bad. I recently was told that none of the special ammos, I think, are available right now, so no armor piercing, definitely no precision ammo. So still, 2 tons of solid slug are perfectly fine. That's enough to go the distance with the AC-10. So more than likely this and that Jackrabbit are going to be hanging out with each other or covering for each other as they slowly poke their way across the map. Next up is the Hipparch Cavalry Tank. So this is a 30 tonner coming in at 914 movement profile. It's only 420 BV, so this thing is dirt cheap for how fast it is. This is Locust/Stinger prices here. It's got 64 armor, which is decent for how fast it is. Each location can take at least 2 medium lasers and still be okay. And the medium laser is the benchmark we're going to be judging most things this time around. I mean, there are Gauss rifles and stuff out there, but 5 damage clusters are what you're going to see the most of in this era. And it's got a medium laser, a small laser, and an SRM-2 all in a turret. So that's good. I mean, it's not that deadly or dangerous, but this is like a Savannah Master replacement that can actually take a hit. Not bad. I like it. I mean, you still have to watch out for motive hits, but this overall, I think, is a solid list. This is not getting any votes from me. That Dragoon is just really good. That Hermes is disgusting for an objective running mech. The Rampage is not a bad brawler. The Jackrabbit is a little weird at 6'9 for a 25 tonner with just a large laser pretty much, and a Streak 2. The Telos, though, is a solid little fire support platform. It's slow, but it's only 1220 battle value, and you're getting an AC-10 and 2 LRM-5s. That's not bad. And it's at 3-4, mind you. So out the gate, it's even cheaper. So his 2 sniper mechs are his most skilled, the Dragoon and the Talos at 3-4. The Hipparch's at 4-4 to help with those piloting checks while it's cruising around, and the Hermes is at 4-3 to be doing some melee. If anybody could pilot this to victory, it's definitely Vapor. Too bad he's not the one piloting it, but it's still a solid list. And I think this one was going to perform just fine, so it's not getting any bids from me. That Dragoon and that Hermes are definitely going to get this thing some votes. All right, that's it for Vapor's list. Next up is Negator's list, and we're going to go right into it with the Spartan SPT-N2. This thing is an 80 tonner coming in at 1605 battle value. It's got a 5.8 movement profile, so a little bit of pep in its step for an assault mech. Not bad. It's got 26 total heat sinks, 13 doubles, and 224 out of 247 armor. So well armored for an 80 tonner. And here we go. This is where the nasty starts and why this list probably isn't going to get any bids from me. It's got 1, 2, 3 medium pulse lasers in the right arm. I think this is one of the first time we've even seen medium pulse lasers. Outside of that, there was another mech that had them earlier. I think it was the Night Star. I think that was it. So this thing is scary right out the gate. If you're a light mech, you want to be nowhere near this thing. If that weren't enough, it's also got an ERPPC along with tag in the left torso, an AMS in the right torso, and 2 Streak 2s in the center torso. And it's got entirely too much ammo of Streak 2s. It's got 2 tons. So you could definitely dump a ton on turn 1 and probably dump a ton of that AMS ammo because there's 2 tons of that in the right torso as well. And have a little free crit slot there for yourself. This is a solid little brawler. It's got, and I say little, in quotations, it's got the ERPPC to poke as it closes the gap. You've got 3 medium pulse lasers, which are going to eviscerate anything that's relying on TMM to stay alive. It's got tag to boot. We'll see if he has anything that can utilize that tag further down in this list. Maybe, maybe not. And then AMS to help out with LRMs coming your way and SRMs if anything closes the gap on you, which is going to be not a good idea. And then 2 Streak 2s to crit out whatever you've opened up with those 3 medium pulse lasers and the ERPPC. You do only have 26 heat sinks, so after firing that ERPPC, you're down to 11, which means if you walk, fire the ERPPC, and fire all of those medium pulse lasers, you're going to start getting toasty. But it's kind of bracket firing, so once you close the gap, you can drop the ERPPC and if you're in range of the medium pulse lasers, because they only go out to like 6 hexes. Then you just entirely don't shoot that ERPPC at that range, and just focus on your streaks and the ERPPC and the medium pulses. So I like it. This thing is decently quick. It can definitely close the gap. It's got brawling weapons and it's got poking weapons as it gets into brawling range. Solid mech. This is probably going to be an anchor. It's also at 4.5, and so is this next mech, the Mongoose MON-66, 25 tonner at 758 battle value, coming in with an 812 movement profile. I don't recall if we've seen this bone stock Mongoose, but we may have seen the Royal one already in a previous list. This thing has 89 out of 89 armor possible, and it's also got 1, 2, 3 medium lasers, 1 each in the left arm, right arm, and center torso, and an emotional support small laser in the head, and it's also got an active probe. Solid light mech. It's maxed out armor, so it's not going to get any tankier than this at this weight bracket. And it's just as deadly as some of these medium mechs with those 3 medium pulse lasers. Definitely a scary mech to keep an eye on. And it can run objectives at H12. That's locust speeds. That's definitely a good mech. Next up is the Hermes HER-1SB. We just looked at this on Vapor's list. yeah, so we're not going to go over this too detailed. It's another objective runner. 1, 2, 3, 4 medium lasers. Disgusting 914 movement profile with mask, can get up to 18 hexes in a turn. Solid objective runner with an active pro. Definitely a scary backstabber too. Paired up with that mongoose, they can do some real damage. And then next up, we have the Ostrock OSR-2C Little B. So this is a Royal mech because he is running Starleague Royal, in case I didn't make that clear. Also, in case I forgot to mention it previously, Vapor is running RimWorld's Republic Home Guard. So if you're into that sort of thing, that list is all you. So the Ostrock is, of course, a 60-tonner, coming in at 1478 battle value. This bad boy is at 4.5. The only thing that's been skilled up so far is that Hermes at 4.4 for 1223 battle value. This bad boy's 1478 battle value, so only a couple hundred more than that Hermes. And it's also got a 5.8 movement profile with a 300 fusion rated engine standard, mind you. And it's got 28 total heat sinks, 14 doubles, 161 out of 201 armor. A little light there. I'd like to see a little bit more, up to like 180, 190-ish or so, preferably. But you get what you pay for, because you're also getting 2 ER medium lasers, 1 in each left torso, 2 medium lasers, 1 in each torso, side torso, I should say, not left torso, and then 2 Streak SRM2s, 1 in each torso. So the mech is mirrored and it's hands-free for fisticuffs. So you got 2 ER larges, 2 mediums, and a Streak 2. So it's a solid bracket fighter. You've only got 28 heat sinks. You can fire both of those ER larges as you close the gap, and then 1 of those ER larges, and then everything else once you get to brawling range. Or if you're feeling lucky or feeling toasty, everything. And then you can drop an ER large the turn after and start cooling down. Definitely a solid mech. Nothing fancy here other than those ER larges and the 2 Streak 2s as far as advanced tech is concerned, but it's a good mech. I like it. Next up is the Crab CRB-27 Little B for the Royal Designator, and I'm surprised, I'd be surprised if we don't see more of these cropping up. This is a solid 50-ton mech coming in with a 5.8 movement profile. It's got 32 total heat sinkage at 16 doubles, and it's got 161 out of 169 armor. So this thing is just as tanky as that Astra we just looked at. And it's got 2 ER larges, a medium laser in the center torso, and a small laser in the head. The 2 ER larges are 1 in each arm. So you've got way more sinks than you need. You can fire those ER larges every turn and that medium laser and not worry about a damn thing. This is a solid little laser zombie sniper, and there's no XL engine, so if you lose a torso, you only lose half your damage pretty much, because you still have the medium laser in the CT and the small laser in the head. Solid little laser poker mech. And last and definitely not least is the Thunderbolt TDR-5S Little B. So a 3rd Royal Designated mech, actually 4th. The Hermes, the Ostrock, the Crab, and now the Thunderbolt are all Royal variants. And this is a 65-tonner coming in at 4.6. It's got a 1,613 battle value at 4.5. So this is the bone stock battle value for this bad boy. It's got 28 total heat sinkage, 14 doubles, 208 out of 211 armor. So as armored as you're going to get for a 65-tonner, this thing's seems like it's going to be a bit of an anchor along with that Spartan. And it's got 2 small pulse lasers, both in the left arm, an ER PPC in the right arm, 3 medium lasers in the left torso, an LRM-15, and a Streak 2 in the right torso. And of course, it's got far too many shots with that Streak 2 with just 1 ton, and it's got 2 tons of ammo with that LRM-15. So it's got a full 16 turns, which is 1 more than you need. Definitely going the distance, and it's got Artemis on that LRM-15, which is what you like to see. Mathematically, I think Artemis does the most for the LRM-15, if I'm not mistaken. And it's got case to boot for that right torso. So when you do lose that side torso to an ammo explosion, you don't lose the mech because it's not an XL engine. This is a solid bracket fighter. You don't have the heat sinks to alpha strike every turn because of that ERPPC, but as you're closing the gap, that LRM-15 and ERPPC should be firing every turn. Even then, once you do close the gap and you get to within 7 hexes or so, you probably still want to fire that LRM-15 just to burn through that ammo so it's not a liability. And that Streak 2 as well, of course. Definitely a solid brawler mech. Now, between the Spartan and the Thunderbolt, you have a solid brawling core there. You don't really have a dedicated sniper with like a Gauss rifle or multiple ERPPCs, but you've got 2 brawlers here, the Crab and the Ostrak with their large laser poke and pick capabilities, and then you've got the Mongoose and the Hermes to be little Bash Brother backstabbers. Definitely a solid list. It's getting no votes from me because it's too good. That Spartan is nasty, the Thunderbolt's nasty, and then you have the other 3 Royal variants and the Mongoose, which is just an all-around solid mech. Well put together list here from Negator. I definitely see this one performing well, and don't look forward to going up against it. That's for damn sure. Okay, next up we have the crowd favorite, the People's Champ, Pirate 44's list. This one is all kinds of nasty. Everything is skilled down at least a little bit. This Highlander is coming in at 3-4. Highlander HGN-732 Little B. This is the Royal Designator. We covered this one last time, so we're just going to breeze through it. It's a 90-tonner at 3,082 battle value, which is a spicy meatball because that's over a quarter of your list. Well over a quarter, almost like 30-something%. It's got a movement profile of 353, it's got a 270 standard rated fusion engine, and it's got 277 out of 279 armor. You've only got 20 total heat sinkage though, but that's enough because the weapon loadout isn't that demanding. You've got an SRM-6 in the left arm, a Gauss rifle in the right arm, an LRM-20 in the left torso, and then 3 medium lasers in the right torso. This is the mech from the HBS Battletech game that you get after you find the Brian Cache, and this thing is disgusting. You've got 12 turns of ammo with that LRM-20. You've got the full 16 with 2 tons of ammo for that Gauss rifle, and 15 shots with that SRM-6. It wishes it was Streak. And you have Artemis for both the SRM-6 and the LRM-20. Streak would probably have been more efficient, but they didn't have Streak 6s back in the day. It's only Streak 2s, if I'm not mistaken. And you do have case in both of those torsos, just in case the ammo goes up, because there is all the blowy uppy ammo is in the left torso, and for some reason there's case on the right torso, I guess to keep the Gauss rifle from exploding and transferring, apparently. But disgusting. Absolutely terrible mech. I will not be putting any votes on this just because that mech is on this list. Next up is the Mongoose 66. We literally just went over this in the last list. 25 tonner, A12 movement profile, 10 total heat sinkage, 89 out of 89 armor, 3 medium lasers, and a small laser. Why not? And an active probe as well. Perfect objective running mech. And it's at 3-4. So he's definitely going to be hitting more often with those medium lasers. He's going to have to do some finagling to get his battle value out of that bad boy because it's 1,001. Next up is the Oscout OTT-7J Little B, also royal. So we've got the Highlander and the Oscout so far. This bad boy is 35 tons, and I expected to see more of these as we go down the list. It's got an 8-12-8 movement profile. That's why It's fast, and it can jump for 8 hexes, which is more than 7, which gets you that +4 TMM. It's got 10 single heat sinks, so that's all you're getting. And it's got 72 out of 119 armor. And it's only got 1 medium laser and an active probe. That's it. That's all it's got. That's why it's so efficient at 671 battle value, even at 4-4. This is a solid objective runner. It's not really going to be that much of a threat by itself unless you start getting fancy with it and getting into rear arcs and or charging or DFAing. But that's not its job. Its job is to run objectives, get data or whatever, and be a nuisance if you don't need it for objectives. Next up is the Thug THG-11E. This is a pirate favorite mech. He definitely likes his thugs. This one's coming in at 3-4. It's an 80 tonner with 2,165 battle value. So this is another quarter of his lance right there. That's between the Highlander and this. You don't got a lot of BV left to play with. And it's a 4-6 movement profile. It's got 36 total heat sinkage with 18 doubles. And it's maxed out armor at 247 out of 247 for an 80 tonner. This is a bruiser. It's got 2 PPCs and 2 SRM6s and 2 tons of ammo for those SRM6s, 1 in each torso, and case in each side torso. I don't know why it's got 36 total heat sinks, because it can only generate 28 heat, but whatever. You're never going to have to worry about overheating with this bad boy, and you're never going to have to worry about losing the mech if you lose a torso, unless it's the center torso, because of that case. Definitely a solid brawler. And I mean, those PPCs only do 10 damage each, but those SRM6s pack a hell of a punch. So this is definitely one of the scarier mechs that you're going to see out there. It's a sleeper for sure, and it's going to take a lot to put it down with 247 armor. Solid brawler. And last and definitely not least is an SRM carrier at skill 3-4. This pirate does not like fun. This is a 60-ton vehicle coming in at 1,077 battle value. So between this and the Mongoose, there's another quarter of your list, and then you've got the Oscout taking up the last chunks of the list. It's got a 3-5 tracked movement profile. It's got a whopping 48 armor and only like 9, I think, SRM6s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the version without a turret. So it's got 10 SRM6s. Thankfully, they're locked to the front arc. And if it survives long enough to get more than 1 volley off, it's got 4 tons of ammo. Yeah, so you have a total of 6 turns worth of alpha striking capability with this thing, but if it gets 1 alpha strike off, I think it's paid for its battle value, especially if it hits with at least, a handful of those SRM6s. This is a disgusting zone control ambusher. Like, you don't want to be anywhere within 9 hexes of this thing at all. So he's going to plop that down or put it on an objective and then never worry about it again. So this is an interesting list. It's got only 5 units, which is not something we've seen fairly often other than that Nightstar list. Most of them have 6. And they're all skilled down at least a little bit. The Highlander and the Thug are going to make a devastating core. The Mongoose and the Oscout are going to be fast and annoying running objectives, and that SRM carrier is going to sit there and just say, "Come at me, bro." And damn, it's going to be hard to deal with this list. The Mongoose and the Oscout are going to be extremely hard to hit. The Highlander and Thug, even if you hit them, they're not going to go anywhere. You're going to have to hit them over and over and over again to do any real damage. That SRM carrier is just a glass cannon in the truest sense of the word. So you can leave it on an objective to fend for itself, and it'll fight off anything that weighs anywhere near its tonnage. And most things that don't. Like, you don't want to be within 9 hexes of this thing. Just period. So yeah, this will not be getting any votes from me. Solid list pirate, disgusting combo of units. And last, and definitely not least for this time around, is Clint. Now, Clint has a solid list here. He's starting off strong with the Thug THG-11E Little B. So this is the Royal Thug of the version that Pirate just had that we just went over. So this one's coming in at, I think, 4 or 5. No, I'm sorry. This one's coming in at 3-4 at 2,322 battle value. It's got a 4-6 movement profile. It's got the same 36 total heat sinkage. It's got maxed armor still, 247 out of 247. And all it does is bump up those PPCs to ER PPCs. And that's it. Other than that, it's the same exact mech with 2 more SRM6s and case in each side torso and 1 ton in each of the side torsos. So you trade out the regular PPCs or ER PPCs and you go up a couple hundred battle value, which I think is a fair trade. That extra range and not having a minimum means you don't need to worry about getting into fisticuff range, even though you can't punch, but you can always kick if you fire those ER PPCs. And you don't quite have enough to be heat neutral since these are ER PPCs now, so the 36 now all of a sudden becomes inadequate to keep the mech cool, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. If you do close the SRM6 range, you can just drop an ER PPC and fire both SRM6s, which would likely be preferable, or fire everything and then cool down at a later date. So a disgusting solid mech to start it off. Next up is the Shadowhawk SHD-2HB Little B Royal Designator. So 2 Royal mechs back to back. We have seen this one before last episode, so we're going to go over this briefly. It's a 55 tonner coming in at 1,354 battle value. And since this one is at 4.5, that's the base cost. You're not getting any discount there, and it's fairly cheap for what you get. It's got 152 out of 185 armor. Not bad. Could be better, but not bad. 22 total heat sinkage, 11 doubles. And it's got 2 medium lasers, an LB10, and 2 streak 2s. Those medium lasers are 1 in each arm. The LB10 is in the left torso. The streak 2s are scattered between the right torso and the head of all places. So you've got weapons everywhere. So if you lose a limb or 2, you can still keep the fight going. Not a bad mech. It's got 2 tons of ammo for the LB10, so you can switch between cluster and solid to your heart's content. And it's got case in the right torso for the SRM ammo and the LB10 ammo. Nice and solid, and it's got a standard engine, so if that ammo does go up, you don't lose the mech outright. Not bad at all. Definitely a good mech. Next up is the Phoenix Hawk PXH-1C quote-unquote special. This is a 45 tonner coming in at 1,443 battle value. This bad boy has 4 or 5 pilots, so this is the stock price for this mech. It's got a 696 Phoenix Hawk movement profile that we all know and love. It's got a 270 XL engine, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. It's got 20 total heat sinkage, 10 doubles. If you jump, you're down to 14. 144 out of 153 armor, so slightly less tanky than that Phoenix Hawk, or I'm sorry, Shadowhawk on the Phoenix Hawk. Solid. And it's got a medium laser and a machine gun in the left arm, a snub nose PPC, ooh, I likey, and a medium laser and a machine gun in the right arm, and an ER large laser in the right torso. And it's got a full ton of machine gun ammo in the left torso, and it's also got case, which does you no good because you've got an XL engine. So the mech is still going to go boom and die if you lose that MG ammo. So in theory, you could dump it to prevent that, but I think you want the machine guns because you're likely going to be jumping into point blank range and taking advantage of that snub-nose PPC and zero heat generating weaponry. It does have a Guardian ECM in the center torso, so that's nice. That'll help out on occasion with objectives and doing any trace bustering that may be necessary. There is no C3 in this era, I do believe, but Guardian ECM is always nice to have. It's double blind, so it'll definitely help out with that. I like this. The snub-nose PPC and a medium laser is basically all you can fire if you jump without going over heat, but you do have the option to generate a little bit more, squeeze out an extra medium laser, and fire those 2 machine guns if you're able to close the distance. And you can poke with that ER large as you're jumping in or running in and not worry about your heat too much. That snub-nose PPC is a solid weapon and makes this an A+ mech in my book. Definitely like it. And just with those first 3, I can already tell you this is not getting any bids from me. This is already a very solid list. Next up is the Mongoose MON-66 Little B. So this is the Royal variant of that disgusting Mongoose we've already seen twice. It's a 25 tonner, 812 movement profile, 20 total heat sinkage, 89 out of 89 armor. It's got 2 medium lasers, 1 in each arm, and an ER large laser in the center torso, and then a small laser in the head. So you can actually use all of your heat sinks. Yeah, because that gets you up to 19. You'll be at 21 if you alpha strike and run, and you've also got an active probe to boot. So another solid objective running mech. The Royal variant just gives it a little bit more range with that ER large laser. Definitely a good mech. Can't sing its praises enough. And next up, we've got the Lightning Attack Hovercraft Royal variant. So that's 1, 2, 3, possibly 4. I don't know if that Phoenix Hawk is actually a Royal or designator of somehow, but that little C and the special quote-unquote name tells me this is probably also some sort of Royal nonsense going on there. So, along with the last unit is also Royal. Spoiler. But we'll get into that later. First, let's finish off the Lightning Attack Hovercraft. I think we may have already covered this previously. This is a 35 tonner coming in at 1117 hover movement profile. It's got 62 armor, so 20 in the front, 16 on both sides, and 10 in the rear. And it's got tag and 2 medium pulse lasers and 2 streak 2s, all front mounted. So there is no turret on this, which is a little disappointing. But when you've got 2 medium pulse lasers, 2 streak 2s paired up with tag for shits and giggles, I can't complain. This is a scary mech. I think we saw the non-royal version of this earlier, and this royal one just adds those medium pulse lasers to make it even more deadly. I like it. Definitely a good objective runner. Definitely a scary little skirmisher. And last and definitely not least, we have the Burke Defense Tank Royal. So a full Royal list, excluding that possible non-Royal Phoenix Hawk, even though I think it is anyway. Or if it's not Royal, it's experimental of some sort. This is a 75 tonner coming in at only 1,105 battle value. So this is fairly cheap for a 75 tonner. It's got a 3.5 tracked movement profile. It's got 152 armor. So that's 42 in the front, 30 in the sides, 20 in the rear, and 30 on the turret. So this does have a turret, and it's got 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 PPCs all in that turret, which is a solid sniping platform. It's also got 2 streak 2s front mounted to boot, just in case something gets within streak 2 range. And since it's a tank, you've got no heat sinkage to worry about, so you're firing those 3 PPCs every single turn you can. That is a very, very solid little fire support mech. I was a little worried he might not have enough damage that can reach out and touch things, only having the Thug with the 2 ER PPCs, and then the ER large on the Mongoose, I guess, but that Burke makes up for it right there. This is coming in at 4.5, and that lightning hovercraft was coming in at 4.3 at 760 battle value, which is a freaking bargain. And the mongoose is at 934 at 4.5. Phoenix Hawk was also 4.5 skill, as was the Shadow Hawk. The only things that are skilled down are that Thug at 3.4, taking up a quarter of his list, and the Lightning Attack Hovercraft at 4.3, helping out with those PSRs as it's going to be, or else it's going to be sliding and skidding across the map. Another solid, scary list. Those pulse lasers definitely help out. That Burke, speed, it's got it all. The Thug's a solid brawler that's going to want to close the gap. The Shadowhawk's a solid skirmisher that can take a hit to an extent and poke on its way in. The Phoenix Hawk is going to be a scary little brawler with that snub-nosed PPC. The Mongoose is a solid objective runner, as is the Lightning Attack Hovercraft, and the Burke is solid fire support. Nice list all around. None of these are getting any votes from me. So yeah, well done, Clint. Well put together list. I like that a lot of them are 4.5, so you can get a lot more metal and a lot more of that tech into these instead of skilling up and losing out. You don't have to skill up because you've got some pulse lasers in there that'll help make up for the skill gap. I like it. Closing, we've got Clint's list, solid 6 units. We've got Pirates, 5 units, going to require a little bit of finesse, but still solid. With 4 units that are actively going to be running around while that SRM carrier is going to be taking up the rear. And then another solid 6 units coming in from Negator. That Spartan and Thunderbolt are going to be very scary. The Ostrak and Crab, also very scary. And the Mongoose and Hermes, also very scary. And of course, Vapor with this little piece de resistance. He's got a quarter of his battle value in the Dragoon. He's got a quarter of the battle value in the Rampage. He's got the Royal Hermes. He's got this Joker Jackrabbit, which I think is his joke mech this time around. I'm not expecting much out of that. And if you do take this list, this is going to be your weak link. Just keep an eye on it. And then the Talos, which I think is a solid find for a 50 tonner that's only 4.6, but it's a definitely cheap fire support platform. And then of course the Hipvark cavalry tank, which is going to be his second objective runner along with that Hermes. I don't expect that Jackrabbit to be running objectives unless he gets real desperate, which he won't be because he's not the one using the list. So just a recap, Pirates list was Free Worlds League, Clint's and Negator's list were both Star League Royal, and Vapor's was Rimworld's Republic Home Guard. I see all of these getting solid bids from other players, just none of them getting any bids from me because they're too good. Sorry guys, you're too good at list building, stop it. So that's it this time around. Another 4 lists from Cameron Heat, done and in the books. Maybe we'll get through all of them. I doubt it because there's 26 lists, I think 25, not including mine, but I figured if I get there, I'll cover mine last. So that does it for today. Catch you guys next time. Later, everybody.